Thank you, Dr. Laila, the organizers. I hope you can hear what I have to say. The COVID-19 pandemic, which upended all our lives last year, made us necessarily
not audible, madam. It's not audible.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Madam. Yes, now yes.
Well, Laila said it was not audible. Laila, can you hear me now? Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Okay.
Now it is okay, madam.
Now,
Yes.
Okay, I hope you can hear me now. So when this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic upended all our lives last year, it forced us to stay indoors, socially distanced, and all our learning, working, recreation, and communication necessarily went digital. In the initial phase, it was thrilling to look at each other wearing masks, to get this opportunity to stay home and bond with family members. And we thought it was just a passing phase. And the hope was that by the coming new year, we would have a truly happy new year. Nothing of that happened. Now, as you know, the reason why the COVID pandemic has created problems for all of us is because of all the things my previous speakers have made you aware of. We've now been reduced to seeing each other and talking to each other and learning using our digital devices. And we've always known that using the computer for a long period of time, as Vinod, as Lakshmi, as Raju, as Andreo said, these have problems for us. I'm going to make life slightly easier for you by not showing you a single other slide. So I welcome you to close your eyes, look into the distance, listen to me by all means, but I have no more slides to share because a lot of what I have to say has already been said, and some of the things that I have to say are equally understood without the help of an audio, without the help of a visual aid. So why do computers cause the problems that they do? Man evolved from being a hunter with having very clear distance vision. So the people who survived would have been the people who had the best vision for distance. And that is what we needed in our distant past when we were basically hunter-gatherers. From that, we slowly became farmers. We built ourselves a home, and our activities slowly came closer and closer. So from needing clear distant vision, we evolved to people needing clearer vision, closer and closer. We learned to write, we learned to read, and then came the age of the computers. And the computer screen, as you all know, is so addicting. This digital interface in all its manifestations, as a PC, as a tablet, as the television screen, as your smartphone, it is really, really addicting. 100 times a day, you would be going back to that mobile in your pocket just to check that nothing is there, which again creates psychological problems when you find that there's nothing very wonderful for you to have seen. So when I talk about the ways in which COVID-19 causes asthenopia, the first in the list, of course, would be a refractive error. And the refractive errors which would cause these problems are obviously hypermetropia, where the attempt to see clearly, causes you to accommodate more than you should. And astigmatism, where nothing is clear, neither distance nor near. And of course, if you're becoming presbyopic, there again, you've lost accommodation and you're working at distances which are closer than infinity. So what happened when we needed to shift our focus from far to near? We needed to accommodate, to change the power of our lenses. We also needed to move both our eyes. Till then, we had to use, if you were looking in the distance, your eyes moved in the same direction. Both eyes went to the right, to the left, went up, went down. But when it came to seeing for distances closer than far, one eye had to move to the right, the other had to move to the left. And this ability, which is the last we developed in our evolution, is the one that we are likely to lose also first. So this again is common. People who have been using their convergence for long periods of time, like before an exam, end up with eye strain because of convergence problems. So when I think of all the ways in which Laila told you, I'm going to say about all the ways in which the COVID-19 epidemic has caused asthenia. Well, the thing that the COVID-19 epidemic did was to keep us indoors, was to make us necessarily dependent on our digital devices, and was to aggravate and perpetuate what we've always known, the computer vision syndrome. So the computer vision syndrome is because of the way the computer screen differs from what we are used to usually, a page. The computer screen is fixed. It's in the same place. So you have to stay focused, looking in the same direction. If I was reading a paper or a book, I would shift the book, I would turn the page. None of this is needed when I'm facing a device. So like Vinod said, that means you sit in the same posture, you develop pains in your head, in your neck and your back. The other problems are obviously, I said, like Raju and Andrea said, if you have uncorrected refractive errors, and I think it was Andreas who said, if you have a large refractive error, or if you have myopia, you can do nothing in the world to improve your distant vision in a myope. So you just give up. You just need bring your horizon closer. And as I've known time and again, you assume that the horizon is where you are seeing. I've known my daughter first corrected for myopia, looked at our front door and said, Mom, I just that white thing I've always seen is a flower. So myopes with associated convergence insufficiency could have problems, but otherwise it's the hypermetropes, the smaller degrees where I can accommodate to overcome, where I have the accommodative reserve to overcome, or the small degree of astigmatism where I try to bring either one of those focal lines onto my retina or the circle of least diffusion using my accommodation again that causes problems. The last, of course, is what Lakshmi was talking about, the relationships between accommodation and convergence. Now, not only do these have to be matched, but I need, on the computer screen, I need more of stereo acuity than I would need if I were reading a paper. This is because the screen is at one distance, my keyboard is another distance. And if I'm a data entry operator, I might have paper on my desk, which is still at another distance, which means that very quickly I have to shift my focus, change the accommodation, change the convergence, and I need good stereopsis and binocular vision if I have to perceive the depth, the changes, how far away things are from me. And last but not least, of course, is the fact that when you concentrate on anything, when you're using your eyes, you automatically keep your eyes open, you stop blinking, the surface dries, the eye becomes red, hot, irritable. And in an attempt to overcome this, the main lacrimal gland produces a lot of tears, so that in a condition of scarcity, you seemingly have plentiful tears. So the asthenopia that we are dealing with, of course, I must say one more thing. Paper is coming up about asthenopia related to COVID. When I asked my granddaughter, who's in the 12th now, she said, oh no, I have no problem. Probably because many of our children are so used to being on their digital devices for longer than we like. But I still believe that in a classroom where you're not allowed your digital device, the interaction with your peers, the interaction with your teacher, and looking further away than just your notebook would all help. But I know the children of today sit up late into the night using their digital screens. So asthenopia, I'm sure, is a problem. And I'm sure that when I ask somebody, they'll always tell me, yes, I do have a problem. But if I tell them in that case, stop using your device, like I tried telling my granddaughter, she says, oh, no, it's not such a big deal at all. I can manage very well. The last, of course, is whether looking at a closer distance and accommodating is going to end up with an increase in the number of myopes that we see. Again, there are papers, but like everything with COVID-19, where we are learning more and more, I think the time to evaluate the effects of COVID-19 on the eye will definitely have to wait a couple of years before we actually analyze the data we have, before we read the papers that are published and come to a final consensus on how this pandemic has altered our lives. Mostly for the worse, but slightly for the better, because there was no way I would have come to Calcutta to present this. But thanks to the virtual conference, I've been able to present my talk to all of you. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.